Yo, JD here, and as you can see, we are finally back with our F122 hot lap and setups. And sorry it's been a little while. There was a patch in the game which has changed things quite drastically, and I wanted to make sure I was up to speed properly on it before continuing this series. And on the previous build, the TT setups could very much be used in online races with no changes and work very effectively, and that pretty much still is the case here as well. But there are a couple of things that you do need to keep in mind, which we will be discussing at the end of this video. And if you haven't seen my video that I did on the patch last week, that explains some of the major changes there. So we're at Spa here today, and this track I haven't really done that much on the game itself, and you will see by the setup it's a fairly controversial one which many people have said. But this setup I'm running here is not purely for time trial. This is a setup that I would be using as a baseline online. One thing I do recommend with every one of these setups now is to start with minimum tyre pressures, and if your tyres are not heating up to 96-97 degrees, then simply increase your tyre pressure until it does. But I would really recommend you to always start with minimum when you're playing online and build your way up from there. And this lap, you can see there was a couple of mistakes, definitely a fair bit of time in this, but it was a 42.1, and again, my setup isn't particularly aggressive because I really want it to be functional when it plays online, especially with the tyre temperature issues we are now having. So coming into this turn one, you want to be braking just before the 100 meter board. So once you get there, go down the gears, try and do it all in a straight line, nice and smooth, and try and avoid this curb on the exit. Make sure you don't run on the sausage curb. Make sure you get a good launch because you're going to carry all this momentum towards the end of sector 1. Make sure you actually stay quite tight here as well. If you miss this apex, it will cause the car to understeer quite a bit as you go up this hill. Make sure you get the DRS nice and tight to the right hand side as well. And then as we come towards the end of this very, very long straight, coming into here, you want to be, I say, around 70 meters out, or 10 meters out, or sorry, 60 meters out coming into here. Make sure you kiss this curb, so making sure you do not mount this curb on the inside. But then once you finish that and go over to the left, really important is to try and hook your car on the inside here, because it does give you a lot of grip and drags you around quite nicely. Around about middle of the track, then you want to start turning in, and you want to try and cut this corner as much as possible. You can see here we left a little bit of room on the table, so that's definitely a place where we could be gaining some time. As we come into this corner here, you want to be driving towards the left as you go into here, because that will really allow you to shift your momentum coming into this corner much more rather than driving straight on. So try and keep it as tight as you possibly can, going up through the gears, short shifting. And then I always try and kiss this curb on the right hand side, and then soon as I do that, that is my turning in point for this left-hander. And you can see we had a little bit of snap during the corner, so we lost a bit of time going through there. And this one, I used the 50 meter board as a reference, but it's as I pass this, that's where I start reacting and turning in. So as we pass it, little brake, downshift, and then back on the power, try and keep it nice and tight once again. Now coming through into here, as this curb starts, that's where I start braking, and then I want to be trying to hit this apex as late as I can. So trying to hit the final part of this curb, and then turn nice and early for the left-hander, and really crucial that you get your left wheel on this green part of the track because it will drag you round. Use all the track on the exit, and now coming into the penultimate braking zone, just before the curb starts, that is your braking point. Then coming through into here, nice and smooth on the power, using all the track on the exit, and keep it completely flat out. Avoid this curb on the exit here. Nice and tight to the right hand side, so just always trying to thread the car through the needle effectively. Keep it almost into the middle of the track, avoid these curbs as well, and now coming into the chicane, you want to be braking, just before the 100-meter board, so not quite at the 100-meter board, because we are running quite low downforce here. Want to kiss this curb on the inside, so you don't want to mount it, you just want to kiss it to give you that rotation. Now coming through into here, avoiding this curb here, and trying to avoid this curb on the exit. We do run it ever so slightly, so again, a place where we can certainly gain a little bit of time, and that is a 142.1, which I was fairly content with, and that puts me P11 on the leaderboard, one of the highest no assist runners, and you can see we're running 2-0 wings, so very low downforce. And then the race situation is actually even better because you can save a lot more ERS. 1-1 for the suspension, so keeping it as soft and stable as possible. 1-8 anti-roll bar to get the rotation in the high-speed corners, and 8-4 ride height, 150 brakes, and we have our tyre pressures pretty much almost to the middle here, but I would recommend, as I said, put them down to minimum when you are trying this setup online, and then raise them until you get 97, 96 degrees consistently. So yeah, that is my hot lap and setup. Hopefully you've enjoyed this returning to the channel. I will be trying to do 3 setup videos a week, so not too many more to go now. And as I said with other people, with my previous setups, make sure when you use them, you set the tyre pressures to minimum. They're still very much usable. You don't really have to change much else, apart from maybe having a softer suspension now when you're racing online, and also a lower tyre pressure, because that's really going to help you quite a bit. So thank you so much for the support. Hopefully you enjoyed this, and I'll catch you very, very soon. Peace.